Despite growing awareness about autism, many families are left in the dark. Two families reveal how local resources changed their lives.
We start off and you know, your priorities change as your child gets older. So initially, you know, the priority is getting them to communicate, because as Dr. Agrawal had mentioned earlier, a lot of the behaviors that our children exhibit are difficulty with communicating what they want and don't want. So I think that is a priority, and it remains a priority. But as the child gets older, you start to think about, where's my child going to be in the future? My son is 14 now, so I'm now thinking about the transition IEP and, you know, vocational rehab. Where is he going to be? What are his skills that he'll be able to use in a work environment? And so, you know, you get comfortable, and then, you know, then now we're going through puberty, and that brings a whole other set of concerns with it. And in the support group that I hold, one of the things that I'm hearing often from parents is, you know, when the child ages out of the school system, you know, what's going to happen? Because, you know, our children people aren't knocking down our doors to employ our children. We still have work to do there. So that's something that I think about. Not just that, as a parent, if I was to be asked what keeps me up at night, would be, you know, what's going to happen when I'm gone. So I tell my coworkers, you know, I'm on the live forever plan. Obviously I'm not going to live forever, but it's something that, you know, as your child gets older, when they're small, you don't even want to think about that. You're just getting through the day. But as time goes on, you have to face that reality. And I think that's something that we need to bring to light. As Dr. Agrawal had said, if we don't put something in place, if we don't do something for our future, what's going to happen to all of these children when we're gone? And
it's your natural instinct to worry as a parent, and even so, you want to make sure that child while they may not have those protective barriers, once you're gone, you still want to make sure that they can excel and be accepted.
Exactly. I think that's what we all want as a parent.
And Joe, I know before the break you were talking about some of those challenges, and just like Carol, you were mentioning that communication, teaching your child sign language. So with all those challenges that you describe, have they changed since the diagnosis?
My husband would call it night and day.
Tell me why.
Because, you know, if I look back and looking at them now, I would not expect them to be at this level right now.
I mean, you shared, and Ray shared during the break, that Lauren is on the honor roll of her school, which is absolutely amazing, and both children are excelling so well.
Yes, but it's a lot of pushing and knowing when to step back.
Right, which is very difficult.
And do not be scared for your kids. You are your kids' experts.
Yes.
And you are there as the main cheering squad. So the hardest part, like Carol said, is looking at the future, because you have to be present and you have to be there. You cannot be looking at, you know, ahead, but tackle on what's in front of you. Now Lance is a junior. He's 16. He's a drumline member. He is a hip-hop dancer. He's a digital artist. He serves in our church as an altar server. And there are things that he thought he could never do. But I always tell my kids, don't say no. Give me a month and then come back to me. If you hate it, I'll take you out.
Okay. I think that's all across the board. That's a really good mentality to have.
Yes. But for them to have this social anxiety, you know, it takes a little bit of, you know, pushing.
And as you said, it's probably a fine line, because you want to push, but you have to know when it's too much.
Step back. Yes.
Absolutely.
Very crucial.
Would you agree with that?
I totally agree with that. You know, with my child, I do a lot of career counseling, because now he's going to go to college. So I have to discover his strengths. So he loves computers, but he wants to pursue art, but I have to counsel him a lot that when you do art, is it really going to have a stable job for you? So I told him,
you don't want to be a dream crusher, but you want to be a realist.
So I told him you could have a day job and you could have a night job. So if your day job, so I'm steering him to, he's very interested with computer forensics, cybersecurity, or IT. And maybe, you know, he could pursue his dream to be a digital artist during the night. And I told him, if your career in art takes off, you could quit your day job.
Right.
But at least you could pay your rent.
Yes. We need a roof over your head first there.
Exactly.
Lance.
So since they're dreamers and they don't have, they're very naive, so you have to bring them down to be practical and realistic.
Yes.
And I think it's safe to say, I think for all three of you, that without the help of these support groups, to have these resources, do you feel that things would have been different?
I totally believe that, because it's so overwhelming and it's just like a monster that you have to tackle.
Right.
So along the way, you need people that know what you're going through. And you're able to express, especially men, we don't express ourselves.
Right.
We just battle it in and we're fixers. But we cannot fix autism. There's no cure. So you're going to have to get through the process and know how to tame your monster.
Right.
Yes.
Okay? Once you know how to do that, your life will become better.
Right.
And your children will respond better. Because we get so hung up with the deficits, and we tend to forget what are their talents and their strengths.
Yes.
So for our children, once they started talking and they have better social skills and they're communicating, we hone in on developing their strengths
And you
their
focus on the
talents.
positives.
Correct. And that end up giving them a lot of self-confidence. And they're not afraid to venture out. They're not afraid to face the world.
I mean, I can't imagine that change of mentality is not easy to do, but once you do it, it shows you things in a very different perspective.
Correct.
And you opened up for something that I really wanted to talk about, were these misconceptions that there is about autism, and one of them being that if you're autism, that means you're intellectually disabled. And that's not true, correct?
That is not
true for
true for our children. They were diagnosed with intellectual and cognitive delays when they were small. But Lauren, at age 10, kindergarten, she took a test in school, and we discovered she was gifted. So she ended up in a gifted program, and she was intellectually superior.
And
her
you were
IQ,
shocked at that point as well.
we could not even believe it, you know. And then Lance, who had a very hard time with sequencing and following commands and complex instructions, became a hip-hop dancer. And he taught himself how to do audio mixing.
It's incredible. I need to have Lance teach me some hip-hop moves, because that's my jam right there.
Yes, he's an incredible dancer.
Amazing. Carol, another myth is people with autism don't want to be friends.
Absolutely not true. I think they may not have the skills to know how to acquire a friendship. It doesn't mean that they don't want to. And sometimes the behaviors, my son has some vocal stereotypy, he stims, so he scripts a lot. It doesn't mean that he doesn't want to be friends. He actually attends a group on Sundays that's about to end, where they pair teenagers and young adults with typical peers.
Right.
And they do things together. They go on field trips. They do art. They do all sorts of things, and it's a bonding.
Right.
So they do want to have friends. They just may not know how to go about doing it.
I'm so glad you explained that. Any last minute tips as we wrap up, or any viewers out there who might be thinking about, goodness, where can I go? Where can I find one of these support groups? What would you say to them?
Seek support. Be your child's biggest advocate. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And we welcome anyone to attend the support group. I've learned so much from Ray and Joe. We learn from each other. It's a safe space.
Yes.
We all speak the same language. In Joe's words, we're from the same tribe. I was just having this conversation with the doctor before she left. She
It's your
said,
squad.
It's our squad.
It's your squad.
So please, we're on the West Kendall Facebook page.
Okay.
It's once a month, usually on Wednesdays, the second Wednesday of the month. So we invite anybody in the audience to come, share your story, get support,
Absolutely.
and obtain resources.
For other answers to important autism questions, download our Health Channel app.